Welcome everybody to today's 1 million by 1 million strategy roundtable. We do these roundtables to support the 1 million by 1 million program, and our aim is to help a million entrepreneurs reach $1 million in annual revenue and beyond by 2020. So I know many of you have been following this program for a while and have also contributed to helping build this program up to this point, to the extent that we have done something like 85 roundtables, sessions like this over the last few years. And we also do private roundtables. I'll tell you more about the premium program, the private roundtables, and so on later on in the show. Today's roundtable has a whole lot of different dynamics which we are starting to see from time to time. In Bangalore, I believe we have a group of almost 30 people in the Microsoft office. You probably know also that we are working with Microsoft as a partner of late. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. But first, I want to start with an exciting announcement that we are making today. You may have already seen it on the blog. We are announcing a 1 million by 1 million affiliate program. Now, I will tell you from my own experience as a business blogger for a good, 6 years now. It has been very, very difficult for many, many journalists and bloggers who jumped into the fray early on to find business models. There are a few who have done very well, like if you look at Michael Arrington with TechCrunch and Ariana Huffington with Huffington Post. There are some blogs that have turned into serious monetization efforts and have made money for the entrepreneurs. But by and large, a lot of these extremely talented entrepreneurship, technology, business bloggers have not been able to monetize very well. And it's a huge mass of talent that is out there that I really wanted to create through 1 million by 1 million, a platform to support. I have always supported my blog through my consulting work, and now the blog is where the 1 million by 1 million program came into existence. So our blog is a slight exception, but across the board, there are lots of very talented journalists, very talented writers who are doing great advocacy for entrepreneurship. Some of them are working on policy level issues. The startup visa, for instance, is one that is getting a lot of support from the blogger world. And all this work needs a business framework, needs a business model to be able to continue to be meaningful and to continue to be effective, to exist, just to exist. So the 1 million by 1 million affiliate program is basically going to offer 10% in commissions to bloggers who are going to become our affiliates and promote the premium membership within their forums. And I believe it's going to help support a lot of the journalism work that goes on in the world. So you'll hear a lot of different partnerships coming out of 1 million by 1 million because of the affiliate program. Aside from the blogs, we are also working to partner with a number of other organizations. But if you're interested, if you are a blogger, or if you are interested in the topic of how to monetize blogs, there is a blog post on our blog this morning called How to Make Money Using Blogs. And I've explained quite a lot of the models that are required to support this kind of work. So there are also some entrepreneurship opportunities. I'm interested in actually helping build some media ventures out of this business model, so that media entrepreneurs can become sustainable 1 million by 1 million entrepreneurs as well. So if you know media entrepreneurs who are trying to build businesses through this kind of effort, by all means ask them to join 1 million by 1 million and also consider the affiliate program. And if you have any questions, I will take questions about this and everything else at the end of the presentation. So hold your questions until later in the show. And if you want, you can also come discuss that, all these issues related to the affiliate program, related to monetization of blogs in the on the blog itself. Now, also, I want to welcome all the folks who are gathered in the Microsoft office in Bangalore. As you know, we are partnered with Microsoft BizSpark, and especially we are supporting the India Startup Grant Program. In fact, next week we expect to host a number of the finalists of the the Microsoft Startup Grant Program at this show, and the deadlines are looming. Uh, so you have a couple of different categories in which Microsoft is offering these grants. One is a mobile category, the other is cloud. The first prize for each category is $40,000, and second prize is $10,000. And folks, this is a grant. It's not equity, it's not debt, it is a grant. So we are very appreciative of the program, and we are supporting this program. I went to India recently, and we promoted this program, this grant, through my speeches in India as well. So you've heard me talk about this for a while, including at this show. So welcome everybody at the Microsoft office. We will do more of these meetups in different parts of the world as we go along. We are actually talking to various partners about hosting these meetups. So you'll see more of these kinds of programming coming up. And do let us know how your meetup is going. If you are hosting a meetup, do give us feedback on how it's going, how can we do better. All right. If you are tweeting the show, which we very much encourage you to do, please use the hashtag 1M1M. And there are some ambassadors in the room. Ruchika is probably the leader of our social media efforts. So if you have any questions about tweeting or social media, you can send her a private chat or ask her in the group chat. Now, my group chat is going to be closed for the next piece of this show as I work with the entrepreneurs, because I do need to focus. So please don't send me questions in the group chat, and do not send me private chat messages either while I'm doing the show, because it's hard for me to answer your chat messages and pay attention to the presenters. So the first presenter today is Abhinash. Abhinash, if you could unmute your line and come and tell us what you're doing. Now, 10 Screens, by the way, is the product that Abhinash is doing from Bezos Technologies, and Abhinash is a premium member of the 1 Million by 1 Million program. So Abhinash, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm audible right now, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello. Okay. Okay. So we are a Bangalore-based startup company, and our office is HTPI building, Electronic City. We have come up with a product which is called 10 Screens. And why we came up with this product, when we saw the problem statement, a problem out of our experience working in the software industry, we found out that a lot of software projects are really failing because of poorly communicated requirements. And that has been there in a lot of articles, a lot of survey, and lot many places. So if we deep dive why it is happening, why this problem is there, the requirements are documented, the software requirements are documented in text, documents, spreadsheets, use cases, markups, flow diagrams, all kind of formats. And then all these information pieces are presented to the business people, and business people have to consolidate all these things in their head and interpret the final application. So at the time the final application they see, they say, oh, I didn't say that, I didn't want it that, we didn't want it this way. So that kind of things come up during the user acceptance test. As well as, because of this communication problem, the schedules get delayed, the project budget gets overrun.
Mm-hmm.
So the kind of solution which we came up for this, we said, okay, let's see these requirements as a holistic view. So there are two aspects. One is the user interface, and the second aspect is the online business logic.
Mm-hmm.
So most mock-ups actually they tackle, let's say, the screen prototypes, but then the other 50%, what goes and gets processed in the server, that doesn't get answered. So we kind of close both of them and say, you make a screen prototype as well as you create your business flow diagrams and stitch both to give a test drive for the end users. So the stakeholders experience a smooth flow of the business case, moving from a screen prototype to a flow diagram on click of a button, and then from there, based on the endpoints of the flow diagram, they move to the next screen. And this test drive covers the 360-degree view of the requirements. They can give the feedback before any expensive development. So this will lead to creation of the robust requirements, and hence the project's chance of success with the time, the proper schedule, proper budget would be much higher.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go to the next. So the use cases which we came up, like how we can do it. So one is the regular software development, where the business and product team plan for a new application development, and before they float a RFP, they test drive all the requirements and give the RFP for that IT team, or they pass the requirements to the IT team for the further development. Or there is this kind of problem really gets big if there is a ERP product implementation happening. A lot of groups are involved, a lot of teams are involved, the departments, people. It's a very long duration. So this is a big problem there. So the problem is twofold. One is what is the need of how much needs to be customized coming up with that requirement, and second, the adoption of the ERP implementation.
Mm-hmm.
The third use case which we come up with, saying that most of the software service providers, they are working in so many projects. They are actually sitting in the gold mine of the business problems, and they can really standardize these things and create a standardized way of implementation. So that is, they can standardize their SDLC process, saying that whenever the SDLC starts, we will put this, we will bring basically test drive the requirements, we will create the repository, and then we'll move to the next phase of the development.
So, Avinash, which of these use cases do you think you are the best at solving? Because they are catering to different customers, right?
Right.
Yes, all of them have the different customer segmentation, business model, and positioning.
So which of these do you think you are the best at solving, or which pain is the highest?
Yeah. So actually, all the three pains are highest, but and we can solve it. But I see it like where there will be somebody willing to pay immediately, that is the product customization.
So which one do you think is the one that are willing to pay?
Second one.
The second one,
product
customization for ERP implementations.
Exactly. So because the ERP implementation, if you see the survey, around 50% say that we are not happy with ERP.
Okay.
So that's the latest which comes up.
And what?
So I'll just go.
Go ahead.
No, please go ahead. Ask your question.
I was going to ask, and which side do you think the user, which side is going to be willing to pay? Is it the Fortune 500 companies or Fortune Global 2000 companies, whatever, people who are farming out ERP projects to service providers, or is it the service providers who are working with these companies?
So there is one of the company which is in our radar. It's called iRise. They have gone and partnered with SAP.
Uh-huh.
So what we see is a tier one company, tier one ERP provider, including the Microsoft Dynamics. They are very good actually on partnering and going to market together. So the difference and all, I will just come in the use case 2. In that slide, I have come and analyze that piece. How we think that that market is going to come in the near future. So should I move to the use case 2, or should I cover the use case 1 and then move to the second one?
Well, I have let me try to understand a few points, and maybe you don't have answers to these, but please note these questions. We need to find answers to these questions. One of them is the question of which side is going to be your primary user. Is it the global 3000, Fortune 3000 companies that, as you point out here, who are farming out work, or is it the people who are on the service provider side who are taking work, outsourced work perhaps from these companies, customization work from these companies? That's one question we need to answer. And the second question, since you brought up the iRise situation and they have partnered with SAP, we need to understand what are the other partnership opportunities. Given once you answer that first question, we also need to understand how to answer that second question of who may be good partners for us to go to market with.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
That's correct. So the first thing is the one thing which iRise is banking on, that it is going to virtualize the application. That means all your screens are going to virtualize, and it is going to basically have decision logic and the data so that it will flow to the next screen. So they can provide an early test ride of the already created standard pages you customize, and then you create the early test ride. So that means the analysis phase is already over. Because you have analyzed, then you know that how much delta work needs to happen. That's why you can come up and prototype those screens and allow your users to test drive. So if the user is going to get a fail after 10 months, now they can get it today. So the adoption is going to go up. So that is the whole premise why SAP is the reseller of iRise. That means whenever SAP goes and sells their product, they say, you take iRise, which is going to ease your implementation phase. But we are saying there is a big analysis phase where we need to also know that what custom things are needed. So that has to be also coming from the business people. So start rather than starting from the screen, start from the industry blueprints. And those are process flows, multi-level drill down process flows from the business package to the actual detail of the business, one business case. So you start from that and you roll it out. Let all the departments mark saying that, okay, we little bit request change there, we don't do this function, we add new more functions. So that will give the first phase of the analysis, that what is going to be the to-be process. That is going to be the customized from the industry process. The second phase is build prototype and then do the early test drive. So that's why I feel the positioning is very different, and we feel that whenever we partner with somebody, the partner is going to be like, we are the SaaS provider, so we also have a offline. I mean, we can also basically provide a installation integrated. So whom to go, and is it the mid markets? All these questions are there. Is it like first we should try the open ERP, which is open source based, and their pricing is $0 license and 10,000 per year as a maintenance fee. So all these questions are there. Still, we don't have the answers to that. We are researching, and we felt also Microsoft Dynamics, which is positioned in the mid segment, is a good way to partner. Then the question is, why should they listen to me? I mean, whom to approach? So all these questions. So I have more questions than I.
Yeah. No, obviously you're at a stage of the business building process where we need to sort through all these answers. Let me actually suggest a few other things to put in the evaluation bucket, and we're going to work together. Since you're part of the premium program, we'll have a lot of time to work through these issues. That we put a few other things in the evaluation bucket, which is, for instance, I was talking to the chief architect of Salesforce.com on Tuesday morning, and he said that for the App Exchange, they are looking for products they have a lot of different applications, SaaS applications that are being sold through the App Exchange that are in the rough domain of CRM, because Salesforce.com comes out of the CRM world primarily. But they are looking for applications that are outside of the CRM world, and conceivably this could be something that would be interesting to sell through the App Exchange. So that's something we need to evaluate. And the beauty of App Exchange is it's a very good lead generation mechanism where people find out about you through an interesting, through a credible source, and they come to you. And I know a lot of case studies of very successful companies that have generated a lot of leads through App Exchange. So that's one that we need to evaluate as well. I think your open source question is a reasonable question to ask, but let's it's a decision that we need to make with further analysis, whether we go the open source route or the App Exchange route. Either way, there are communities through which you could be selling, and I think that would be more the area where we need to look. Instead of, I actually think Fortune 3000 and the sweet spot of SAP, which is where iRise is positioned, is not your sweet spot. I think your sweet spot would be aligning with the NetSuites of the world, who are also doing ERP, but they're doing mid-market ERP, and they have the same issues. The customization and all those issues remain in the mid-market as well. And since you are doing SaaS and you have a price point that is different architecture, this may be better to go after the mid-market.
Yes, exactly. And also, we also feeling like is really iRise our competitor, because if they have partnered with SAP, is it an exclusive partnership, or is it like they're open to partner with other ERP vendor? Should we go and even partner with Sunrise, which is implementation of the medical packages? So all these questions are there. I mean, we know that this is going to add value if we put these business processes and then go to market. Salesforce, Apex is also very good actually. So this is the lot of questions actually. I mean,
what
we
I
don't
like
have the answers yet.
What I like about using a channel like an App Exchange or some sort of an open source, SourceForge kind of community-based marketing is that you can do that without a sales force. You can do it from India, you can do it without a sales force. You will have leads coming to you, you can work with them, in a remote basis, and your price point is something that is fairly inexpensive so people can test easily and so forth. The moment you get to the SAP world, that is a world of direct selling, that's a world of very large deals and so on and so forth. So I think that would be harder for you to support.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, absolutely 100%.
Unless you go partner with service providers who are going to be using that, to service their Fortune 500 customer base. That is also a possible strategy. So let's peel those onions. Let's take all those questions, and we're going to need to work on each of them to arrive at the decisions.
Yeah. So that outsource partners, when we thought about partnering with them, one thing which came to us, if we see the history of them, they don't buy tools. Even Microsoft, I know from the Infosys background, all the project management, PowerPoint, and all these tools are purchased at a price of only 1 rupee per installation. So that's a very, very minimal fee. And out of that, all the tools which we use, for example, SQL browser, testing tool, and all these things, it's not that they go and buy those things. So they recommend us go and use open source. They go and rewrite even their own project management, tracker, everything. So it's a very, very, from that perspective, do they really invest on tools? Do they really pay? So history says that they don't do that.
They don't really resell.
So
Microsoft, I don't think, will resell your tool. I don't think that's going to be very effective.
Okay.
I think the one that I would like you to explore, we can, obviously we are very strongly connected into Microsoft. We can explore that and get you an answer. You can talk to Girish Joshi at Microsoft, who is hosting our event today in Bangalore, and check what we can. You've talked to Girish?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I know actually. Yeah.
But I think the place where you'll find SaaS customers, customers who are using a lot of SaaS tools, are very SaaS friendly customers, are the Salesforce.com App Exchange people. That is a community. Okay. an online community where a lot of SaaS customers are hanging out. So I would definitely like to put that as one of our key test points is, can you do the research to figure out how to very quickly get yourself on App Exchange and see how much
Yes.
lead generation you can do from there, so that you can start testing this.
Yes. Yeah, very true. Yeah, definitely. I'll take
And we'll also talk to Microsoft to see what they can do. Now, did you apply for the Microsoft grants? Did you apply for the
Yes, I have already. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yes, actually, Mr. Girish only helped me a lot, so that
Very
I was.
good. Excellent. Okay.
Hello. Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just looking at your slide. So we've already talked about the different options. We don't have answers yet. We have to test different categories. Now, do you have customers to work with to validate each of these segments to figure out where is your best touch point? Are you talking to enterprises which are forking out projects? What is the customer validation process that you're following?
Yeah. So the last, which is the use case 3, the process standardization. So this one we have done the validation, and it's really not going anywhere.
Sorry, it is what?
It is not. They are not basically. I mean, we gave them. They said initial what they really wanted. Yeah. So then we said that they give that. So whenever next time we go and ask them, okay, now you buy this already. We have developed. You said that you need it. They said, oh, that feature is missing. Or sometimes they will say, I have an open source option also. I can little bit tweak and do the work. So all these kind of things which we are hearing.
Okay. So more or less we can make the decision as far as use cases are concerned. We have an echo here. Can somebody, whoever is echo, can you please mute your line? Abhinash, is your computer on mute?
No, I'm fine actually. I mean, for me, echo is not coming.
Somebody's computer is causing echo. Bharati, are you there? One of the presenters who is on the phone and has a computer that has your line, has a computer that volume is not muted is causing this echo. Okay, I think that cut it off. Okay, good. So Abhinash, just to close out, we're going to have to move to the next presenter, but I think one decision we can make based on this conversation is that your use case, the one that you focus on, is the ERP change management use case.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Because I think you have got already some feedback that number 2 is your primary use case, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So then let's zero in, cut out the other stuff, zero in on that one, and then let's build the strategy on top of that use case. Now, the things that we need to check is, can we use channels like Salesforce.com, channels like Microsoft to support that use case to create a good go-to-market strategy, whether it's App Exchange or Microsoft's Microsoft channels. And the other thing we should look at there is, what is the competitive landscape for products like this in the open source universe?
Okay.
Okay.
Positioning wise, can I just quickly actually say the position? There are a lot of, like, even 50 products are positioned as a better UI product, which is like screen prototype only. Then it cuts out one product, which is the iRise, that position as the application visualization or app simulation. So ours is like we are different from all of these two by giving prototype plus workflow plus wiki, saying that we need a requirement of prototyping. So all actually are position-wise we try to differentiate that way, so that we get basically a little bit very focused way of going market.
There is a company. If you go to the open source module of our curriculum in the premium program,
Okay.
there is an ERP, open source ERP company that I have actually provided the case study of. Go study that module. Go study all the case studies, because there's lots of nuances that you need to learn about open source go-to-market, and especially. One possibility, if you want to go the open source route, is to create a partnership with that company, and I can introduce you to them. I can't remember the name of the company right this minute, but we can look at that. So anyway, let's explore these two directions, and we'll figure out which way to go by doing the right analysis on each side.
Okay, great. Yeah,
and NetSuite, the other one that we need to consider in that partnership bucket is NetSuite, because NetSuite is the ERP solution for the mid-market. And conceivably, you could become what iRise has done with SAP. You could do that same thing with NetSuite, and that would give you a very clean go-to-market strategy.
Sweet. Yes. Perfect.
Okay. All right.
That's a NetSuite. Yes. Perfect. Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, the next presenter is, one second, Neil. If you could please unmute your line, Neil. Abhinash, go on mute. Neil, unmute your line and make sure that only your phone line is unmuted. Your computer still remains muted, because otherwise you're going to stream a bunch of echo into the call.
So I just pressed the *6. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Just speak up a bit, Neil.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thanks, Sramana, for giving me the opportunity of this presentation. I am Neil from mydataorganizer.com. It is the SaaS company for the data organizer. We are helping businesses to create, organize, and share data with the online data organizer. Now, as you know, that data organizers for the widely used functionality, for example, CRM or accounting, they are readily available. But the data organizer for the specific custom functionality, which is unique for the business, is not available. And I have just taken the example of SramanaMitra.com, so because everybody is familiar with that. So, and I have just visualized that, like, they would need the data organizer for their business, which is composed of roundtables, pitches, the pitch context, the referral of the pitch context, and a live demo is also created for that. We are in the early stage, so right now the customer validation is will be started soon, and detailed segmentation analysis will be also done. And right now the high level target customer is the SMB, that is the small and medium sized business. And I have been through these past roundtables and I know that, like, the don't spray and pray should be applied for this analysis, because this is just very high level, that is SMB, and so we would like to concentrate on the specific segment where we can actually make money as well as satisfy the customer.
So let me try to understand this, Neil. Just a second. Let me try to understand. What you're saying is SMBs have a lot of data management needs, organization and management needs, and you are going to provide a service company. It's basically an outsourcing provider that is going to help SMBs with managing their data, yes?
It is actually the product, not the service. So
How is this a product?
Sorry?
How is this a product?
Yeah, the product is that the business users can directly log into the mydataorganizer.com, and then they are already familiar with the business. So like let's say that in this particular case, the slide which is being shown right now, it is having the context menu, for example. So let's say that you are managing the context, and you know that let's say that the basic components which I am seeing in your website is that you are having the roundtables. So, and then each roundtable is provided by the pitch providers. So they are the pitch contacts. Then there are pitch listeners. So that is whoever are listening to it. Then there is also some admin part involved, which is let's say Maureen or Praveen that I heard. So those are the people. So now these are all the contacts which needs to be managed. And so let's say that you actually say that, okay, this is the name of the contact, this is the contact information that is there, this is the company that the pitch provider is providing. For example, I am providing for the mydataorganizer.com. Similarly,
I'll tell you something. I understand what you're trying to say, and I think you're correct that we have to manage all this data around organizing roundtables and a whole vast number of other functions that we do in our business that are custom to our business. The roundtables are custom to our business. The fact that we have to manage the data around roundtables is custom to our business. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, the real need we have is of a service, not a product. Because your product, you cannot provide me a product, because every company that you're going to try to work with roughly is going to have different kinds of requirements.
That's right.
But if you can provide me with that service, if it's an outsourced service where we can outsource, and this, by the way, is an excellent business case for a rural BPO or a small town BPO, where you can provide this kind of service at very low rates. Like, today we use people, we get this kind of service from Odesk, and we hire people from all over the world, from Malaysia, from Kenya, from Indonesia, all sorts of places, at like $2 an hour.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to offer this service, you can do it, and if you can use a rural BPO or a small town BPO kind of operation to be able to match those prices, you can market this service, data organization service, through Odesk, Elance kinds of companies, and you can build a fine business out of it, I think.
Yeah, that is fine. So that is a very good recommendation. So we would definitely take it into consideration. And right now, as I said, so I think like we are just starting out, and particularly this is a demo which was created, that is just to give the idea, that is what it can actually do. So, and
yeah, so I think the primary feedback to you is, I don't think you can build a product company based on this premise. You can build a service company.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. And it's a service company that particularly plays to a trend that is something that I'm very interested in, which is the rural BPO, small town BPO trend. And I think that is a particular type of business that I'm very interested in seeing come out of 1 million by 1 million. So if you're interested in working with us going forward and building this business, we will support you.
Definitely. So yeah, we would be in touch.
Okay, very good.
And
keep validating. You should start doing business on Odesk and Elance, and that will help you validate and learn more about the process and what kinds of business you can get. Like, I'll tell you the kinds of things we need to do. We often, and by the way, all these 1 million by 1 million entrepreneurs have small jobs, like small tasks that need to be done. Like, yesterday I was talking to, at a private roundtable, I was talking to Girish, who runs a company called Freshdesk, who's one of the 1 million by 1 million premium companies. And Girish now has to go figure out who are the customer support, customer service kinds of bloggers and media companies, journalists out there, people who write about customer support technology or customer support processes. This is basically a web research job. He has to find somebody to, somebody in his organization will have to go search the web and find these contacts, tabulate them, and figure out how, basically to create a database of journalists for a guerrilla PR campaign. This is a task that Girish could very easily give your team. And if you can provide this kind of service at very low cost, we will help you market it through 1 million by 1 million as well.
Yeah, so you are right. So it is actually just like instant data organizer. So and it is then available already on the web.
It's not a product. You can't. It's a very, very heavily service project.
Yeah. So that is, yeah. So I think like from now onwards, I would divert my attention to the service as opposed to the product. But the actual result which the customer would like to see, like in this particular case, let's say that they are running the campaign in which they are interested in all the context to be managed for the campaign, and then it can be easily managed and based upon maybe whatever are their needs, and it is available directly, which can be shared by all the people, no matter wherever they are in the world.
You can create the workflow around specific functions like this. Like this guerrilla PR support function is something I would say all our 1 million by 1 million entrepreneurs will be looking for in some form or the other, and at some point of their journey, because guerrilla PR is a strategy that we are all using extensively. So if you can support that workflow and create kind of a good systematic workflow to support small companies managing their guerrilla PR strategy, it's a data organization function, data organization and management and research function that I'm sure you could generate a lot of business around.
Sure. Yeah, thank you very much for your feedback. And
you're welcome.
I think the questions which I have is already, I think like some of the things I already know that maybe where I need to concentrate, that is instead of spray and pray, and I think like you already gave some pointers, that was the Odesk and ELAN.
Yeah.
And so.
And 1 million by 1 million, I have tons of customers for you. If you can create a systematic, credible service for the 1 million by 1 million companies, I'll let you market to those companies.
Yeah, sure. So I think we can be in touch. That is just to first of all find out, that is like the demo which is created right now, it was just based upon just visiting your website and then trying to see that, like, let's say that what is already involved without actually asking you the question. But once we know that, okay, let's say that this is a specific requirement which can be for which the solution can be created, then it can be created very easily, and then it can be marketed, and then we can have the customer. So which is like the first milestone of having all this work.
Yep. All right. Good. So I've given
Thank you
you my thoughts. We'll bring the next presenter on. So Neil, if you could mute your line, Ram Kumar, please unmute your line. And just to remind you folks, if you are on the audio call, make sure your computer audio is muted, otherwise we're going to have that echo circus again.
Sramana, you are able to hear me?
Yes. All right, Ram Kumar, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah.
Speak up a bit.
Let me do a brief introduction to the benefit of other people. I'm going to talk a little more in detail about MangoDBM in the last slide. What business we are doing for the last 3 years, which is related to music. But this business model is for movies, and I have to mention here that we earlier had a business model of delivering movies to individual consumers, and based on the inputs received from Sramana when she came to Chennai a few weeks back, and based on her book where she had referred one of the business models for Bioscope, we had actually modified our business plan from delivering to individual consumers to using the same technology to deliver it to a set of customers in the form of a micro theater or a touring talkies. And that's the background to this pitch. So let me go to the next slide. Okay, so the problem is very clear. Even today's economist this week has mentioned that the number of theaters in India versus the population, there is a great mismatch, and particularly in rural areas, the distance from the place of living to the place of theater is quite far, and the penetration is very poor. I did some research to find that it's about 5 to 10% in rural areas and about 15 to 20% in urban areas. On the other hand, there's a variety and volume of movies being released both in Bollywood as well as in southern India, like Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, is quite high. So every week we get about 5-10 movies, and the opportunity to see a movie is very limited. Hardly any movie runs for a few days or sometimes few weeks, and before which you don't catch it, then you can forget it forever. You can't see it after that. So, and in India particularly, there is a craze for new movies as against catalog content. Places like US, UK, there is a very healthy market for home video, for catalog content, but India is really a market for new movies, and that is very clear from the fact that the middle and the bottom of the pyramid market today in India are largely dependent on pirated CDs in spite of their poor quality. It is also a proof of the opportunity. So now coming to the solution, which is in the next slide. What we plan to do is we already have a technology platform that we are using it for music delivery to individual consumers. We found that the same technology platform can be used for this micro theater business model also, because two things. One, the technology platform, which is a server side and PC side software platform that we have built over the last 3 years and tested and tried it over the last 3 years in the field. Simply by connecting it to a projector instead of a monitor, you can convert that MangoDBM into from a music kiosk into a digital theater. And second is that we have the technology to store up to 1 lakh songs now, and in the case of movies, it will be about 1,000, 2,000 movies we'll be able to store in the PC in encrypted form, and we have the technology to update it to the network, which we are already doing for the music, either through the network or through encrypted DVD-centric hosts. We are already doing that for music, and we also have the technology to control the content in terms of delivery through a CDMA or a GSM modem, which is a very slow speed connection, just for the e-commerce in terms of debiting the dealer's account on how many music he delivered. The same thing can be used for debiting the franchisee in terms of on a per show he showed on the machine. So the technology platform is kind of ready tomorrow for a pilot if we want to do that. So that's the advantage that we have. So with that, we want to go to the market with this micro theater plan of 30 to 50 seats to start with. Later, we also thought that the same thing can be used for even mobile talkies, where you take a mobile projector and a mobile laptop and a vehicle to even take it to even remoter places where you need temporary theaters. That is also possible with the same technology platform. Let's go to the next slide.
Ramkumar, let me just make one comment here. As you are validating this, I have a hunch that I think your emphasis on new movies is misplaced.
Okay.
Because if you the community you're talking about, these rural consumers or underserved consumer base, they have no access to the older classics either.
Okay.
Right? So if you imagine, they don't have access to any DVD libraries, they don't have DVDs at home, they have no way to access these movies. So I think the merchandising of movies that you will be doing, what is being shown, where I think you will have more success by showing better quality movies, whether they're new or old, than showing just a bunch of new movies.
Okay. Yeah, I take that point. See, we of course are from the technology platform perspective, we are very flexible in terms of.
It doesn't make any difference. I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, it can be different for different regions, depend on the local demand. We can always change it, and we can even add an additional hard disk and add another 1,000, 2,000 movies if required. All that is possible. As we go along, we can always be able to do that. Then let's look at the next one. Next slide. in terms of, I think I don't have to elaborate much on this. Basically, what we are saying is that the convenience, the closer to home, the flexibility, the variety and choice, both new and old, as you mentioned. And as I said here also, I said that specific old movies can be requested. If you're really looking for something, the community is looking for something, we can source it and send it across, even if it is not there in the database. All that is an advantage compared to a convention theater. Now, obviously, we are looking at the bottom of the pyramid, so we are not really comparing with IPTV because it requires a 2 Mbps connection, which only about top 10% of the Indian market can afford. And with respect to DTH and TV, we want to make it more like a movie-going experience rather than a TV experience, particularly with respect to the advertisements. So we will probably have advertisements at the start, at the interval, and the end, and not really in between, because people are normally used to a TV experience which is free and so. Which may not be very well accepted, and we really want to give a theatre-like quality and a social experience of going to a movie rather than sitting in the home and watching a catalog movie being shown in a free TV channel, which is the TV penetration is about 70% in states like Tamil Nadu and Andhra, even in rural areas. So that's the advantage that we want to offer against TV for the customers. So now let's go to the next slide. What we actually plan is to go for a franchisee model where we calculated that the PC plus the multimedia projector plus the speaker system will cost anywhere between 75,000 to 1 lakh, which can be invested by a typical franchisee. I don't see that as a major problem. But the real challenge will be in deciding what kind of seating infrastructure and experience that the user really expects in a rural area. It may vary widely across towns, across villages. So we want to leave that flexibility to the franchisee's choice in terms of whether they want to have an air-conditioned hall or a non-AC hall, whether it should be a floor ticket or a sofa ticket and things like that. So we need to evolve this as we go along. So in terms of the revenue and collection model, what we plan is to debit the franchisee on a per-show plate basis and leave the risk of occupancy to the franchisee partly, which means that whether you are 20% occupancy, 50% occupancy, 100% occupancy, the variation is too difficult in India to make people commit and say the truth in terms of what exactly is the occupancy rate. It's very difficult to even monitor exactly the number of tickets that are sold. So initially we want to limit our exposure on a per-show plate basis and leave the actual ticket collection to the end franchisee, which is what is the model that is currently working in many theatres in rural areas, except in city multiplexes. Mostly it's per show or per day basis rent and never ticket based sharing. And then we also want to vary the per show rate depending on the location of the DVM, which all distributors will expect, because in a village you will charge a different per show rate, and in a slightly bigger town you will charge a different per show rate. We will be able to detect the location of the DVM based on the modem tower, and we will be able to accordingly debit, so the franchisee cannot cheat us in terms of claiming that he is in some place but showing in some other place is not possible, because the technology will take care of that. And the licensing model is to really go to the distributor of that particular district and treat yourself or show yourself as a typical theatre and not as something else, so that it's easy for him to understand that it's just another theatre except that it is a smaller number of seats. So we agree with him on a per show, per day or per movie kind of licensing fees, very similar to what he does with his existing rural class C theatres, except that the seating capacity is different, so we have to proportionately change the pricing. So that is the licensing model that I have in mind. But all this, of course, has to be validated. So we have a very, we have thought a lot about whether to really go for funding and do a large-scale pilot or do a very small-scale pilot. Now we are now trying to narrow down to a very small-scale pilot to even test out the concept and the acceptance of the trade and the industry in the market, particularly in a state like Tamil Nadu or Andhra. So our validation model is what we plan, is where I need to spend a little time with you from now. Can you look at the next slide?
Now hold on, before you go to the next slide, I'm going to give you some comments on this one first. I don't like the flexibility of the franchise model, because franchises, if you study the success of franchises, they work when you define very, very clearly exactly what the franchisee needs to do. So, yes, I agree that you need to do a very small validation exercise, and maybe the first level of validation you do is in some slum in Chennai.
Okay.
Go figure out how to create a project like this in maybe a slum in Chennai, and figure out exactly what is going to be the delivery model, what kind of infrastructure, seating infrastructure, what kind of partner, franchise partner you're going to be working with, and what exactly is the cost structure of that, and try to push down the cost structure. I think, it doesn't need to be an air conditioned hall. I think the experience of being able to be in a reasonable place with a big screen, the social experience, all that is good. I would say the air conditioned hall is going to create more barriers to entry, which is perhaps unnecessary. And see what is the cost structure of that, what is the pricing model of that, and so forth. Then the second point I have is that try to decouple the need for any kind of network connectivity.
Okay.
Why do your franchisees need to connect up to Mango DVM through a network? If you can decouple that, perhaps you would have a better reach. But that's something you need to validate. Is as far as the actual movie just a second. As far as the actual movie delivery is concerned, I assume that there is no dependency on any network, because that's happening out of your server. That's happening after media server.
The delivery. Yeah, see, the delivery of the movies normally will be through an encrypted DVD. That is what we do for bulk music updates today. So it will be through an encrypted DVD sent to the franchisee, where he will just put it in the CD drive and update it. The reason why we are currently even using the network is to authorize the transaction or authorize the show, because the content is encrypted, and we don't want to keep the keys of the content in the local machine because of the security concerns, both our concerns as well as the content owner's concerns.
Okay.
And so we keep all the keys in the remote place, and we use a very slow speed network just to send the keys to validate it, which can even be done through an SMS. No, it's not really difficult to do it through an SMS key sent even if there is no network in the village. It's possible.
Okay. Fair enough. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah. So the real validation aspect, can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah. See, what I really feel is that one of the important cost structures in this business is the licensing fees itself. And unless we really rope in the existing industry, the existing trade into this pilot, it is not going to succeed, because you can't really convince people. It's a very traditional technology phobia industry, particularly in India and particularly in the South. So we really want to involve the distributor, a typical existing theatre owner, and take their inputs and maybe even work along with them in design, because people are really worried about the cannibalization of their existing revenues, both the distributor and the theatre owners. So we need to really locate locations jointly where they feel comfortable doing the pilot. They think that there's no cannibalization of revenues. We take their industry knowledge. They have been in the business for 50 years, 60 years. I'm sure they will be able to add a lot of value to what we are trying to do. So one of the important fulcrums of the validation process is to really go and get a distributor of a district. It could be a Chennai district, it could be a rural district, and a classic theatre owner, not a multiplex owner, but a very small scale, a low class theatre owner in a suburb or in a slum, near a slum or in a rural area, and work along with them to do maybe a one theatre pilot first, and then try to scale it up to another 10 theatres in and around that satellite, like a satellite thing, and validate all these things as I have explained in the next slide. Can you go to the next slide? So
I like the idea of getting existing theatre owners to become franchisees of the micro theatres.
Yeah. I think that will make the adaptation or acceptance of this model easier in the industry, because they are generally very technology phobia. They are very skeptical about anything new, and they generally are resistant
to I agree with you.
anything that we want to do.
Plus, they are in the business. So they are in the business of movie theaters, so they would be more amenable to expanding within the movie theater business, as opposed to getting random new people to do it.
And they would also see it as a way to increase their reach, because they know that it's a 500 seat theater. they are quite far away from a lot of locations, and they will ideally know where they want to create those satellite locations better than we might do. So what we really need to really validate is the user experience part, the screen size, the speaker setup, the soundproofing, what level we need to do, and power problems, generator issues, and safety and approval. Somebody mentioned in Thai, we need to really look at safety approval from the government. Even a micro theater you can't do unless you get some approval from the government and pay the entertainment tax. So these are the things that we want to validate. So the whole game plan, if you look at the next slide, is that we already have PCs, we already have even an AC is required. We just need to spend about 50,000, 75,000 to do a single theater micro pilot or a single pilot of a one micro theater in any location that we choose in collaboration with the distributor and a theater owner, which is what I want to do, which is definitely doable within the funds that we already have. And then take it from there. So that is what I just want to check with you and validate before I go ahead and start talking to some distributors and theater owners about that.
I think this time round, Ram, given your experience with the previous, business, you need to do all the validation steps before you execute on anything. So talking to all these people and getting a good understanding of the price points and everything, I would like to see a on paper validation before you go start executing on anything or spending money on any kind of execution this time.
Yeah, because we also have regulation in India for the ticket prices also. So it is the government regulated, so we cannot really charge above a particular limit depending on the location.
Yeah, so all the issues that are relevant to your business, go figure those out first before you actually go spend money on building the business. Okay. All right. So folks, we are going to, Ram, if you could go on mute now, I'm going to do a segment on a variety of different things. The first of those is our Facebook poll. So you've listened to 3 presentations today, and if you could go to our Facebook page, 1M by 1M, and vote for which of the 3 was your favorite in terms of a business. And I'm going to talk to you while you do that. I'm also going to talk to you a bit about the 1 million by 1 million program and what additional resources we make available to you so that you can build your business using those platforms. So the homepage for 1 million by 1 million is 1m1m.sramanamitra.com, and the blog is at sramanamitra.com. You have, as a very basic level, you have the blog, which is completely free, and you have numerous case studies. And then you have the book series, which we have published 4 volumes of Entrepreneur Journeys books. And you could use those. They're somewhat more synthesized. The blog is not really as synthesized, although you'll find all the material there. Just to give you an idea of what the books are, Entrepreneur Journeys Volume 1 is what you'll get 12 case studies in the first volume, and we focus on the notion of crafting a business. Everything that I said just now to Ram, not to build anything, not to invest money in building the business until he has figured out what are the nuances, what are the validation elements, whether it's business model validation, pricing model validation, regulatory issues, all these points that need to be validated. I prefer, as far as the Entrepreneur Journeys methodology or the 1 million by 1 million methodology is concerned, I will always suggest that you do that kind of validation before you start spending a lot of money in building the business or building prototypes, building software, building hardware, whatever. In some businesses, you can't avoid actually doing the development because that is part of what you need to validate. Like if you're doing a game, for instance, not easy to validate a game without actually building the game. So we do have entrepreneurs in the program who have that constraints, but in the case of Ram, for instance, he can do a lot of validation before building anything. And you learn some of those philosophies, the bootstrapping philosophies, the validation philosophies, the positioning, the the nuances of how to bring innovation to market, and how to do everything on a shoestring. We want you to do everything in a very capital efficient way. That is part of the Entrepreneur Journeys methodology. That is part of the 1 million by 1 million philosophy. By the way, all the books that I just talked about are available on Amazon, Kindle, and Flipkart in India. Sorry about that. I just inadvertently moved the slide back. So the blog, as I said, is at sramanamitra.com. Every Thursday, pretty much religiously, with a few small exceptions when I'm traveling, we have these free roundtables at 8 a.m. Pacific time on Thursdays. And like we are doing today with the Microsoft Office meetup in Bangalore, we are doing meetups at different cities and different places, and we are going to increase the frequency of meetups and the partnerships with people who can host these meetups. So the roundtables are a great way for you to listen to a variety of case studies of different kinds of entrepreneurs, how they are thinking about their businesses, and how I look at their businesses, and how I steered their businesses. This is a very nice learning exercise in a case study based learning format. So this is a program that has been going on for a long time now. We've done over 85 roundtables. Over 5,000 people have attended. I have personally coached over 300 entrepreneurs at these roundtables. So we have a lot of experience with this, and they're very effective. Now, beyond the free programs and the free services, we have the premium 1 million by 1 million program, for which we charge $1,000 annual membership fee. It is like a club membership, and what you get is extensive methodology guidance. You get a curriculum, which is a combination of video lectures and case studies. You get help with business development, introductions to customers, introductions to channel partners. You get strategy consulting like this in a private format. And if you are a company that requires to raise funding and is fundable, we will help you with the financing as well. So that the starting point for that is 1m1m.sramanamitra.com. And let me tell you a little bit. This is the homepage actually of the 1m1m.sramanamitra.com URL. There's lots of material on the website where you can learn more about what the premium program offers you, and there are FAQs that we have developed based on your questions. So you'll learn a lot from navigating the website and spending some time on the website. Our methodology, let me reinforce, is lean, capital efficient, bootstrap startups. Our primary focus is on technology and technology-enabled services businesses, including all the internet businesses and outsourcing. As far as the curriculum is concerned, we have a core curriculum and electives. The core curriculum is a combination of the horizontal topics. Everybody who's trying to be a successful entrepreneur needs to learn these topics like bootstrapping, positioning, customer validation, financing, customer acquisition, and team building. And as far as the electives are concerned, we talk about the trends. We have modules around the trends of our industry today. For instance, Web 3.0 in e-commerce, we have a big emphasis on. Why? Because by the end of this decade, there are going to be 5 billion people on the internet. So the amount of wealth creation opportunity that exists in the web businesses is enormous. E-commerce is going to be very big, and the other related nuances of web businesses is going to be very big. So by all means, look at that as possible opportunities if you're looking for ideas. Cloud computing and business solutions is also a big trend in the IT industry. Outsourcing and consulting, people are always building interesting, successful businesses in that field. I'm going to talk to you about Vision India 2020 in a minute. Mobile and social apps is also a very big trend in our industry. Gaming is a big trend. Healthcare, IT, online education, these are all elective modules that we have created, which you can use for if you're building a business in each of those categories. Now then we have 3 modules: clean tech, semiconductor and EDA, and systems that are still under development. I've not finished developing those. Those are harder to bootstrap businesses. So for those, if you're working in those areas, the methodology is more complex. The challenges are more complex because financing is a more critical requirement for those kinds of businesses. But anyway, we will talk about those as well. As far as the curriculum is concerned, I want to tell you one very important topic. Curriculums are a combination of video lectures and case studies, and you can, typically it would take you 50-60 hours to really go through the curriculum and get on top of it. And if once you do that, I can guarantee you, if you follow this curriculum, you're a far more sophisticated entrepreneur than where you started. And the video lectures are my lectures, synthesizing the case studies, we have about 400 case studies. Over the last 6 years, I've actually sat down and talked to 400 entrepreneurs and extracted their journeys, their entrepreneur journeys, and their success stories. And they have shared with me, and through me with you, their success factors, their lessons from the trenches, and their guidance on what they've learned, where they've made mistakes, and what, essentially this is a curriculum that is being taught to you by 400 entrepreneurs, not just Sramana Mitra. I am playing the role of the facilitator, of the person synthesizing the lessons, but I have created this platform where a large number of entrepreneurs can teach you what they have learned. So it's a very rich, very, very powerful curriculum. And I guarantee you that if you spend the time to absorb this curriculum, you're going to be much more sophisticated as an entrepreneur. And you don't have to do 50-60 hours of curriculum in one go. You don't have to do this in 1 week. You can invest 5 hours a week, maybe 10 hours a week to get on top of this curriculum. But I strongly recommend that you do digest this curriculum because there's so much to learn from it. It's unbelievable. In addition, we are also doing lots of different partnerships with different kinds of players. This is an example of our partnership with Persistent Systems that has a good sales channel in North America. And we are bringing some of our 1 million by 1 million companies to market through Persistent Systems. Just this week, we have a company, a Chennai company called Orenscape that is, I have introduced them to Intel. And there's a very large business opportunity for Orenscape that the combination of Orenscape and Persistent are exploring with Intel. So so these are very powerful dot connection exercises that we are doing, and we do believe customer access and access to channel partners through whom you can go to market are incredibly powerful, much more powerful actually than investors, because what investors are looking for are customers and channel partners. So your first step should always be looking for customers. We do a lot of PR for our companies. I have a lot of columns, and the blog is well read, well regarded. So we have various different ways of helping you access PR as well as establish credibility through our PR channels and relationships. This is again a company being positioned on Read Write Web, which is a very, very large platform, as you know. This, by the way, is my Facebook page, and Ram Kumar, whom you heard from today, was sending me an email right after the first time he pitched here, telling me that Ram Kumar had raised 100 lakhs rupees as his angel round from a group of angels in Chennai, and he didn't do the validation exercise that I'm recommending when he actually raised this money 3-4 years ago, and he ran out of a large portion of that money, and his business actually did not validate. So he was telling me that if he could have access to 1 million by 1 million, some years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, it would have saved him a lot of money. So we want you to follow the methodology. Do not, if you succeed in raising money, do not run out of that money, because you will not get funded again. If you don't meet the milestones, if you don't do things in the right sequence, you're not going to get funded again. We have a lot of partnerships with various incubators around the world, and we are doing more of these partnerships. This is an example of our partnership with MAD Incubator in Malaysia. And we basically work with these incubators as a supplemental program, and they follow our methodology, and they bring in entrepreneurs who follow our methodology. So we have entrepreneurs in the premium program from different incubators, like Michael Goldman is doing a gaming company, and the incubator he's working with in Maine is actually our partner in that process. So if you have, the point of this is that if you have incubators in your community, and if you want them to work with us, if you want to bring the 1 million by 1 million program into your community, you're very welcome to talk to them and ask them to come, work with us. And we always will support your interest in bringing 1 million by 1 million to your local and regional communities. It could be your alumni association, it could be anything. So that's the 1 million by 1 million program. You're very welcome to join any of the roundtables. We have the free roundtables every week pretty much till the end of June. July, we're going to have a few gaps because I'm traveling a lot in July. The June 2nd session is going to be a lot of Microsoft grant finalists, actually. And then the final point that I want to make is about Vision India 2020. This is my book, my notebook, effectively, that I decided to publish. And it consists of $45 billion business ideas written as if we are sitting in 2020 and we've already built these companies. So there are a lot of details of strategic nuances. And today, what Ramkumar was presenting is based on one of the stories in Vision India 2020, one of the case studies in Vision India 2020 called Bioscope. And Ramkumar took his Mango DVM, the first iteration of Mango DVM, and I asked him to look at the Bioscope case study, and he has morphed his business idea of Mango DVM now, taking into account the ideas from Bioscope. So you're very welcome to do that. Any of these ideas in Vision India 2020 are for you to build on, to steal, to morph, to build upon. And we actually have a Vision India 2020 module in 1 million by 1 million, where I would be very happy to help you build your business based on one of these ideas. We have other entrepreneurs in the premium program who are also working, evaluating Vision India 2020 ideas that they may want to build upon. So the book, again, is available on Flipkart for people in India and Amazon and Kindle for people elsewhere. And it is, by the way, these are ideas, these are businesses that are applicable to many of the emerging markets, not just India. So you could think of it as a futuristic retrospective and a development economics book in some sense. So you could take these ideas and apply them to Latin America, you could apply them to East Asia, you could apply them to Eastern Europe, you could apply them to Africa, depending on where you are and what set of circumstances you're dealing with. I actually believe that this book would apply to many of your geographies as well on a conceptual basis. You wouldn't find the level of detail I have in there specific to India, because it is written with Indian characters and Indian dynamics, but from an idea point of view, business idea point of view, they would apply to other geographies as well. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to take questions from the audience. I'm opening up my public chat. So feel free to put in your questions in the public chat. And meanwhile, I want to thank our partners. Read Write Web is a media partner that syndicates our recaps and has given us a lot of support over the years. Microsoft BizSpark, thank you for hosting today's meetup at the Bangalore office. Amita is Association of MIT Alumni. Indian Angel Network, Persistent Systems, various chapters of TIE, Chennai, Mumbai, Delhi, Chicago. We have worked with many, many TIE chapters all over the world. MAD Incubator, and the MIT Club of Northern California, which was not on the slide. And of course, VView, which is our technology partner, which makes these roundtables possible. So that's pretty much all I have to say, and then we are going to do some Q&A from the audience and wrap up the session. By the way, if you guys want to blow up your group chat to cover the whole screen, just click on video and cut the video and just keep the group chat open. It will make it easier for you to use this portion of the to interact with this portion of the session. Any questions? I don't see any questions. Okay, well, if there are no questions, then we'll just wrap it up and get going. Don't forget to, as Maureen is suggesting, don't forget to vote on the Facebook page, and we'll announce the results of the Facebook poll later on. So here's a question. What are your thoughts on the global transparency?
To turn off the music, press 1.
What does that mean? I don't understand your question. What are your thoughts on global transparency? I don't understand the question. Conflict of interest. The world is full of conflict of interest right now, Micheline. It's all over finance. It's all over government. It's all over actually businesses, pharmaceutical companies and healthcare providers. That is also full of conflict of interest. But you know, the way we look at it, my worldview is not to get bogged down by what is not working in the world. If there's what is not working in the world is something that I deal with as an opportunity from an entrepreneurial standpoint. So your questions are very broad questions. There are lots of opportunities in the healthcare IT space. We have a module on healthcare IT opportunities and pointers in the 1 million by 1 million premium programs. If you're looking for ideas and opportunities within that space, you're welcome to join the premium program and study that module and take one of those ideas and develop. And in Vision India 2020, there's a whole section on healthcare, which is something that applies to large markets outside of the US. And obviously there are huge populations, huge consumer populations developing elsewhere outside of the United States. And these are markets that are going to be needing healthcare. So obviously there is tremendous opportunity for healthcare oriented businesses in those geographies. You're very welcome. I look forward to working with you as well. Anybody else? What's happening in Bangalore, Praveen? You guys have been very quiet. Okay, well, I don't see any other questions, so should we close up the room then? If anybody is thinking or typing up a question, just give me a signal on group chat, otherwise we'll close up the room. All right. Well then, goodbye everybody. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. And please bring your friends and fellow entrepreneurs to these sessions and point them to 1 million by 1 million. One of the ways you can help us build this program is by spreading the word and by, you know, developing more, word of mouth and developing awareness for the program. Thank you very much. Thanks for being on the show today, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.